N is for neglected. Do you feel neglected? Do you feel as if those around you are moving on in life? They're getting married, they're buying houses, they're having children, and you may be feeling left behind in your singleness. It may be that you're even dating, but it never works out. And you're beginning to question whether you'd missed it. Maybe you met someone in the past and you didn't give it a go. I remember a season when I really wasn't wanting to be single anymore. And for me, summertime was always the worst because I was quite happy being single at home. I didn't have much of an issue being in my house on my own, and I hadn't lived with people really before, so I didn't really know what it was like to have to work around someone in my home setting. I was so very used to being by myself, but I didn't really have an issue around that. It was more about the companionship of somebody calling to say, hey, how you doing? Would you like to do this today? Should we go off and do this thing? Do you want to go for a date? Do you want to go for a walk? And in summer for me it was worse because I didn't want to be at home when it was nice and sunny out. I live in the UK and we don't often get the sun on a consistent basis. So anyone who lives in the UK knows that when the sun comes out, we grab it with both hands and make the most of it. And so I resented having to be at home. And then I felt pitiful being out on my own. And I'm not saying that everybody does. There were just moments when I felt very pitiful being out on my own, surrounded by what seemed to be couples. Who knows that when you're yearning for something, you seem to see it everywhere. Even if you've decided to buy a brand of car, suddenly you're seeing it everywhere. And that's how it felt for me. It felt as if there were couples all around me, consistently, just in my face. They were holding hands and they were laughing together and walking in step with each other and just taking a stroll over a bridge or something. And as much as it was what I wanted, it also frustrated me. And I tell you what's really crazy. One of the things I used to do of a weekend was, by that point I was driving, and I to this day I remain terrible with directions. I just can't find my way anywhere. Praise God for sat-nav, but at that time I didn't have it in my car. I was still using the A to Z Atlas. Now some of you may not know what that even is, but the one place I knew my way to was IKEA in Wembley. And so I would drive. That for me was like a day trip. I would drive all the way there, and I felt confident that I wouldn't get lost. And I felt like I was being purposeful by not just going for a long, aimless drive and ending up nowhere in particular, but I felt as if I had made a decision and I was going somewhere in particular, and I didn't want to be around family or friends at that time, but I wanted to go somewhere. So I would drive to IKEA. I'd get in there, and of course, you can guess the kind of things I was seeing. Children running around, being signed into the little play area, people sitting down eating together, and couples strolling around. And of course, they weren't all couples, but my filter, it's as if all I could see were the couples. I didn't notice the other single people. I didn't notice that, the families per se. They were the couples that really stood out for me. And it just, it's like it burnt a hole in my heart, and yet I would look at them. And then I would even be cynical. I'd think, oh, look at you. Really? I mean, really? And they'd done me no harm. But it's because I so wanted what they had. And I don't know why I put myself in that environment, but yet there I was doing it repeatedly. I can't count the amount of visits I made to IKEA. I bought nothing. I didn't buy anything. I would just go there and walk around and follow all the arrows, and then make my way down to the warehouse or the marketplace, and then follow all those arrows and just pop into the bargain section and have a look at what was on offer, and then drive home again. I mean, it sounds pathetic, I know. And at the time, every time I'd get home and think, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I don't know if anyone can relate to that. But what God reminded me as I went on was that he will not leave me or forsake me, and he hadn't forgotten me, and that my day would come. And I always felt that my day would come, but it always felt like it was just around the corner, like it was close, but I couldn't imagine it actually happening.